Awesome. Thanks, Christine. All right. Let's see. Seeing who. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started, or probably there'll be somebody else, one or two other people, but why don't we go ahead and get started? And we're not a huge group, so why don't we just introduce ourselves and say who we're with? So Lyle Smith Graby, I work with United Way of Weld County and the NoCO CoC, and I'll pass it over to Drew.
Hey guys, hey, I'm Drew. I work for the Matthews House here in Fort Collins.
And how about Christian?
Hi, I'm Christian Woods, the district social worker for Estes Park School District and the McKinney-Vento liaison.
Great. Thanks for being here. And thanks for being here, Drew. Thanks for what you're doing. Jay Dominguez.
Hello, I'm Jasmine. I work with Employment Services of Weld County, and I do the Chafee program in Weld County.
Great. Thank you, Jasmine. Thanks for doing the Chafee program. How about Devin?
Hello, I'm so sorry about my camera. It is not working at the moment, or I would be on. But my name is Devin. I work for Homeward Alliance as an HMIS specialist.
Great. Thanks, Devin. And then Erica?
Hi, I'm Erica Woldridge. I'm the McKinney-Vento liaison for Thompson School District.
Great. Thanks, Erica. Jen.
Good morning. I'm Jen Barnett. I work for the NoCO CoC and I'm on the HMIS team.
Great. And then Christine.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christine Kepnick. I work with the NoCO CoC with United Way of Weld County.
And finally, Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel Kirkland. I am the HMIS administrator for the Northern Colorado CoC.
Great. Did I miss anyone? Okay, awesome. So I am gonna say I'm thinking we're doing. So as I put in the emails to you all, every year we do this point-in-time count for people that are experiencing homelessness, and this year we are adding in well, last year we did a youth count, but maybe Rachel can give some, or Christine can give any little bit of history. But one of the things like a growing area for us as a continuum of care is to do a point-in-time count that is better for youth. That's important just to know, the number of youth that are experiencing homelessness on a given night, just so we understand the scope of the challenge, but then also for our work in attracting more resources to address the youth homelessness challenge. And there's a particular grant program that is offered through U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development called the Youth Homeless Demonstration Project. And for us to be a good applicant for that funding, it's very helpful to know the scale and the scope of youth homelessness in the CoC. So lots of motivations to have this count and to improve our process for it. But it starts with us all doing it together. And those that have been invited to this conversation or to do this part of the count, primarily, of course, it's the NoCO CoC and then the Matthews House, especially given the shelter that's been opened. Drew, what's the name of the shelter again?
The Landing.
The Landing. So the new shelter that's open in Loveland. But then also we've invited the DHS representatives from the two counties, from Weld and Larimer counties, and also the McKinney-Vento reps from the 5 largest school districts. So Estes Park, Thompson, actually 4 of the school districts: Estes Park, Thompson, Pooter, and then Greeley, Evans. Oh, and now also St. Vrain. So 5 of the school districts, the 5 school districts with the most students. And the other school districts have responded, but they just weren't able to make it to this particular call. And that's why we're recording it, and then we'll share it out with them. So that's all I would have to say as by way of introduction. But Rachel or Christine, would you all have anything to add at this point? Like history of the youth count?
If you guys want to jump into the training, I can go ahead and share my
Yeah.
screen.
Okay, great. Well, so this will be a training on the use of the tool. It's actually called Survey 123 through ArcGIS. ArcGIS is the provider, and the tool is called Survey 123. And Rachel, while you're doing the training, could you also give a good description of who should be counted? Given we're just doing this as an unsheltered count of youth. So take it away.
So I've prepared some slides to review, just to give you guys an overview of what the point in time count is. Let me see if this is gonna work. Okay, cool. So we're gonna review kind of like the whole process for whether you're sheltered, because I think Drew, that's you said that you work for the Matthews House at the Landing, so you guys are gonna be doing sheltered count. If there are people on the call who work with youth in schools, and some of the individuals you're working with are unsheltered, you'll be doing an unsheltered count. Regardless, you're going to be entering data in very similar fashion. So we're going to, again, review what the point in time count is, the methodology of data collection, how to use HMIS for this, how to use Survey 123, timeliness expectations around this, and then any questions that folks may have at the end. So what is the point in time count? The point in time count is a federal requirement for every region in the United States. All of the COCs are responsible for conducting a point in time count. And it's our intention to be as comprehensive as possible with this so that we can submit the most accurate information to HUD. And it's a snapshot of individuals experiencing homelessness for a single night on one of the last 10 days in January. So it's kind of the mandated schedule by HUD. And we're counting both unsheltered and unsheltered people experiencing homelessness. In some communities, sometimes they only count sheltered, and every other year they do unsheltered. But in Northern Colorado, we have chosen for consistency purposes to count unsheltered every year. Once all of the information is provided to us from the people serving, the HMIS team takes that data, we aggregate it and report it to HUD. It helps to inform or influence resources available from HUD, and it helps a little bit with trend analysis. And this year, the night of the count is January 28th, which is a Tuesday. And if you would like to look at information on past years' point in time counts, we have our data posted on the NoCO CoC website. Sorry, I had a duplicate slide in there. So our general strategy for collecting point in time count data is from HMIS. So that is used primarily for the sheltered count and those engaging in day shelter or street outreach. And then Survey 123 is the other format. So surveying unsheltered homelessness or shelter programs that do not use HMIS. For example, victim service providers are not eligible to use HMIS at all. So all of their data goes through Survey 123. In Northern Colorado, we have a really high utilization of HMIS. So around 75% of the point in time count data comes from HMIS. And so Survey 123 is just used for that remaining 25% of people who either are not yet participating in HMIS, or those individuals maybe are not accessing services in areas or from agencies that use HMIS. So if you do use HMIS, which I am not sure, I guess, Drew, are you the only one on the call that probably will be using HMIS for this? Is there anyone else?
Yeah, I don't particularly use it, but my coworkers do.
Yes.
GD, I think. Yeah.
The staff at the Landing do plan to use HMIS. So, but there is, it's just going to be business as usual in HMIS, right? You collect the information, you input it into the system. The HMIS team will make sure that we're pulling data based off of the night of the point in time count. And if there are data quality errors that we need to address, we'll reach out directly to those agencies. For the point in time data that we submit to HUD, there's a certain data quality threshold that we have to hit essentially. So we monitor that a little bit beforehand and after the day of the count, we pull the data to make sure that we have enough complete data to be able to aggregate that and submit to HUD. Entering data in a timely manner is super important for this, and timeliness for emergency shelters and transitional housing projects is same day. You guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, but almost all of my slides are duplicated. And you guys probably don't even notice. I shouldn't even say. So programs not in HMIS, that would be, again, victim service providers like McKinney-Vento reps. Use survey 123. So enter client data into the survey on January 28th up until the 31st. If you're entering data like on the 29th, 30th, 31st, you should still be referencing where they slept on the 28th. So if you're connecting with individuals and you're continuing to survey people, the survey, I think it does specifically say, where did you sleep on Tuesday the 28th? So the youth supplemental survey is an additional set of questions that are asked of people where the head of household is 24 or where the head of household is 18 to 24. So we're going to review the supplemental survey questions. If you use HMIS, if you're using HMIS, there's an additional assessment that is in the system where staff can go in and log that assessment. Last year, we sent providers a list of people who were engaging in their services that meet that 18 to 24 age range and should be surveyed with the YSS questions. In survey 123, there's a little bit of conditional formatting. And so if you enter that head of household is under 25, then those additional YSS questions will pop up. So I'm going to demo HMIS first really quickly. And I know, again, Drew, you don't use HMIS, but hopefully the people who are using HMIS might review this recording and want to see this. So I am in the training site of HMIS, so there's no real client data that we're reviewing here, just as a discretion. So when you're in a client's profile in HMIS, you can come up here to the assessments tab. This is a client level assessment, meaning the client doesn't have to be attached to any specific program for this to be logged. So clicking on the assessments tab, we have the youth supplemental point in time 2025 assessment. We're going to start this survey. And then you're going to see a series of questions. I'll just review all of them. So in which county would you say you live in or spend most of your time? We only have Larimer or Weld here. Open to feedback if folks think that we should expand that. I know this was created last year. And it's absolutely possible that somebody who is counted in our COC maybe spends most of their time in Denver County. They just happen to be in Northern Colorado at the time. So I could certainly add a field to this that maybe is just like other area in Colorado. In which county was your last stable housing? This one is same as current city or county, which would be the same as this one, other Colorado city or county, or a different state from Colorado, so outside of Colorado. At what age did you first experience homelessness? We'll enter a number here. Have you ever experienced homelessness while living with your parents or other legal guardian? How would you describe your sexual orientation? Which things do you feel you have access to regularly? And so this is just a checkbox. So as many that apply. If you select other, you will just type in another resource. Have you ever been in foster care, like in and out of home placement, placed with another family as a result of child welfare, residential care facility, or group home? If yes, then another field will pop up. Have you ever been involved with a juvenile or criminal justice system for allegedly committing a crime? This one doesn't have conditional logic. So, are you currently responsible for any children under the age of 18? And this one does have conditional formatting. What was your last grade completed? Are you currently earning money? What is your current income source? If you had a serious problem, do you know how a trusted adult that you could go to for help? If yes, select the person you are most likely to go for help. In the past year, what has been a barrier or difficulty in accessing housing services? And this is the training site. So it's select all that apply. In our live site, we have corrected this so that you can select more than one option. Once you complete the assessment, you're going to click save. You don't need to hit this private toggle because the information that you collect in here is only going to be visible to your agency. The only thing that is visible to other providers in the system is that this assessment was completed, and that helps them to know not to do that assessment on the person again, right? So it's unlikely that would happen, but just in case, it's helpful to have that visible for that clarity for other providers that might be working with that client. So once you save this, you'll be able to see in the history tab that this person did have a YSS PIT survey completed on January 17th. Does anybody have any questions about the HMIS process? All right. I'm going to move on to the survey 1, 2, 3. So in the PowerPoint, there was a link to this survey. I could share it in the chat if folks want to follow along. We encourage providers to actually test this up until the night of the count, or actually up until the day before the count. Let's see, sorry, let me find the chat. So if you all are testing this, it helps us kind of work out any kinks that might come up before the night of the point in time. But yeah, we ask that you do not test it after January 27th. So you can enter test data all the way up until January 27th. Our HMIS team can use that data again to see how the survey is operating. And then on the 27th or the morning of the 28th, we'll go in and delete all of the test data and get it ready for real data. So this is the survey. You don't have to be logged in or anything. It's just a URL. You can access this from a computer or from your phone. We do have guidance for providers who are doing unsheltered counts if you need to access the survey where there's no Wi-Fi. So if anyone on the call is going to be in that situation, I'd be happy to connect with you outside of this to help you configure that on your devices. But it's basically you download an app, and that app can be accessed offline, and then you collect all the surveys, and then once you get back to a place of Wi-Fi, you join an internet connection, and then you submit all of your surveys at once. So you're going to put your name, the city where the survey is being conducted. It's going to ask if this person is in a shelter or not. If they are in a shelter, it's going to ask what type of shelter program. Here it's going to ask what is the name of the agency or shelter program you're surveying on behalf of. This is super important just in case this combined with the your name and the program information is super important for when we are going through the data after the fact. If we see anything that we need to ask clarifying questions about, we know exactly who to reach out to. So it's super important that we get this contact information correct. Are you able to survey this person? Yes. And this is kind of designed for people who are doing this in real time. So they have kind of prompts to be able to ask the individual. Did another volunteer or survey worker already ask you a question about where you stayed on the 28th? This is just to help us reduce duplication. For example, like if you said yes to this question, it's going to tell you if the survey is not going to let you move forward. So including yourself, how many adults are there in your household? We're going to do 2 for the purposes of kind of showing this information, and 1 child. What is your first name and what is your last name? Okay, so this is, I will say that there was a little bit of a hiccup last year where we had a lot of surveys come through where there was no identifying information available on the individual. And in those instances, we cannot use the data at all because we have no way of deduplicating it. This is a point-in-time count, so we have to have an unduplicated count of individuals who were experiencing homelessness on the night of the pit. And if we don't have enough identifying information, then again, we can't count them at all. It does share this information. If they prefer not to answer or don't want to give you this information, you can input prefers not to answer. We just, again, if we have a lot of that information, if we have too many of those surveys, they're not going to be usable. And we recommend starting this with the head of household. So start the survey with the head of household and then move forward from there. What is your race and or ethnicity? You can select multiple here. What is your gender? Again, you can select multiple. Have you ever served in the United States Armed Forces? There's a subsequent question. Were you ever called into active duty as a member of the National Guard or as a reservist, just to make sure that we're hitting all the bases with individuals? If you say yes, then it's going to ask if they're enrolled in VA services for this. If they say no, then it's asking if they would like to be contacted by a VA specialist. So there's a little bit of like outreach engagement embedded in this survey to get people connected to services that they might not be already engaging in. If you say yes, then we need the contact information. Is this the first time you've experienced homelessness? Disabling conditions and barriers. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. And then the youth supplemental survey. And these are all the same questions as what we saw in HMIS. These are not, all of these are not required. So collect as much information as you can. But again, if the individual is not comfortable answering these questions or they don't know the answers to the questions, you don't have to answer all of them to be able to move forward. And like, unlike HMIS, you can see that this is a multi-select field for their barriers in accessing housing services. I think, sorry, let's see. To go to the next person, you do have to click up here to get to the next page. If you tried to hit submit before going to 2 and 3, then it would not let you submit the survey.
Rachel, that would be the case if it's marked that 2 people are in the household.
Yeah, so you're only going to see that 1, 2, 3 if you have multiple people in the household. If there's only one person in the household, then you would just have this one survey and you would be able to submit.
Okay.
Click submit, see, and it gives me this error and it automatically takes me each person 3. Now that I've filled everything out, I've submitted the survey and you'll get this notification that it was sent successfully. If you want to do another survey, you just refresh the page and it will give you a blank screen to start again and enter another client. That is all the information that I had to share on how to kind of conduct the point in time count. Does anybody have any questions about either of those processes, whether it's HMIS or Survey 123?
We're going to have a paper version of the survey as well, in case that's going to be easier for you to use. And nevertheless, you would need to, even if you use the paper survey, you'll still need to put the data into Survey 123 because of the just the need for having the data in an electronic format. But this is something that I'll email out later, just to be sure that you have the paper version as well. Email it out as a PDF. And what we're looking for, I put this in an email, but just to reiterate, is this is for people that are experiencing homelessness, youth that are experiencing homelessness, age 13 to 25, that are either literally homeless, and that's that HUD definition where it means they're sleeping out of doors or in a car or just in not a place that's usually slept in, or is slept in, considering housing. So a place, they use the phrase not meant for human habitation. So we're surveying any youth age 13 to 25 that is experiencing that or has had that as their shelter on the night of January 28. And then also, like for the McKinney-Vento reps, it would be youth that are sheltered if you are paying for the sheltering. And also, I think the Chafee might also be doing this, where to help a youth be safe overnight, or a youth with a accompanying adult, or something like that. You are paying for the shelter on that night. If a person is paying for their own shelter, let's say at a motel, they don't meet that definition of literal homelessness, either sheltered or unsheltered. Rachel, is that all accurate?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, that's it. And just any questions from anybody? Or Christine, any clarification you'd like to add?
Yeah, I got a question. It said
Yeah.
January 28th is the night of the count. Is that the only night we're doing the survey? Then I heard the 31st too. So is it that 3-day window of doing the survey?
Yeah, so the night of the count is
Okay.
January 28th. So that's what we're referencing for when asking people where they slept on the night of the count. So, but we're accepting data through the 31st. So you can continue to collect information on people experiencing homelessness through the 31st. The reason why we don't go past that is because it becomes more and more unreliable the further away you get from the point in time count. If people are living in very fluid situations, to ask them where did they sleep 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago, 4 nights ago, and then it starts to become like, I don't really remember where I slept last Tuesday, you know? So we kind of recommend that people don't ask for that information past the 31st, but you're continuously referencing the night of the 28th.
Okay. Cool.
Rachel, you had said there was someone who collected a lot of youth data, I think last year, that you couldn't use. And was that because they didn't have the person's name in the survey? Was that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So there was not enough information in the survey to be able to deduplicate the clients. So we couldn't, again, use the information.
If a person doesn't want to give their name, is it okay to give like the first 3 letters of a person's first name and the first 3 letters of a person's last name? or is it just full name or nothing?
You definitely can give partial name. The person providing that still has to give permission to give their partial name though. So if somebody saying, I don't want to give you my name at all, that's something that you could offer. Could we enter just part of your name and maybe help explain that having just part of your name allows you to be able to be counted in this survey. If we don't have any information, you might not be able to be counted. So you can try and kind of compromise with the individual and see if they can provide just like a snippet of their name. Or even say, how about I have your first initial and your last name or something like that. Even that is more helpful than nothing. So, but again, you still have to have their permission to be able to do that.
Yeah. Great. Well, and I think, and I'm thinking out loud. So we're asking for the range of youth is going to be 13 to 25. And so, the McKinney-Vento reps are going to work with youth age 13 to, 18, 19. So it's not like you're going to go all the way up to 25. The Chafee program people could be working with youth, anywhere along the age range. For instance, if a youth who has been in foster care somehow loses housing and, they're not sleeping or they're sleeping in a place not meant for human habitation, or you're paying for their overnight in a motel room, then they would be part of the survey. But for, Chafee youth, foster care youth that are in housing, then they're not part of the survey. So I think the number of youth that are going to be included in, you all know better than I do, the McKinney-Vento reps and the Chafee reps, how many youth may qualify for this. I don't think it'll be a lot, but there certainly could be some. And then, of course, Matthew's house. Everybody's, like everybody you work with, I think will meet this definition, unfortunately. But I think that's kind of giving a sense of the amount of effort that this is going to be to participate in the point-in-time count by program type, just to try to create some expectations for that. So any thoughts or questions? Okay. Christina, Rachel, any last things?
I have a couple of info sheets that I'll send out that include like the link to the survey, when the night of the count is, and kind of some more information. So I can send that out, or I can send that to you, Lyle, and you can send it to this group.
If you could send that to me, and then I'll share the link to the video as well. That'd be great. Okay, well, thanks to everyone for participating. Hope you have a great weekend. And thank you for staying safe and also helping those that you work with stay safe. And take care. Rachel, can you stay on for just a minute? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Jasmine. Will you use that PowerPoint just for my preparation for thinking about Tuesday for the unsheltered and then sheltered? Will you do that PowerPoint as well?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I won't overlap you.
Okay.
And then I sent you an email about this, but I'll go ahead and ask it since we're here. For Loveland's Community Kitchen, since they're on HMIS, and since Safe Shelter, I think, is on HMIS, but they're not collecting enough data, how should I guide them for their participation?
I've talked to Sandra about this on the side, but they do have to use survey 123.
Okay. So they're going to ask people if they didn't. Well, Safe Shelter or Safe Lots, it is what it is. They're staying in the Safe Lots, so they are unsheltered. And then Loveland's Community Kitchen would need to ask the question whether or not they're sheltered that night or unsheltered.
And the survey prompts that question anyway. So
Right. Okay. So they'll be asking everybody that comes through the line at Loveland's Community Kitchen. Okay, great.
They did this last year. They were using HMIS last year in the same format now, so they know that they're still not collecting enough information for that to be pulled from the system.
Okay. And then FOCO Cafe, it sounds like they aren't as like involved as Loveland's Community Kitchen, like they don't have the capacity to ask everyone. How was that handled last year?
There was somebody who was over there surveying. I can't remember
Okay.
who. There was like a very small amount of surveys. I think if FOCO Cafe is not doing it, then we should send somebody over there, like somebody here from one of the agencies, whether it's Outreach Fort Collins or Homeward Alliance. I don't know. We should ask if somebody can go over there.
Lisa Dunworth is the contact. I think she may be having somebody be over there, but I'll just make sure that we have somebody over there.
Okay, that sounds good.
Great. Is there anything you need from me at this point that you can think of?
I don't think so.
Okay. I just did add the Matthews house to the sheltered contact list. So you have that as part of that contact list.
Nice.
Okay, great. And well, I guess we're gonna have the training, the shelter training. So what we'll do, and thank you for listening to me. We'll have the unsheltered training, then I'll send the link to the video to all the unsheltered contact list, and then we'll do the same with the shelter training. So
It's not gonna be pretty repetitive, but we'll have like slight changes depending on what they're counting. So
and I think there's going to be one sheltered, and I mentioned it to you, I think via email, the Genesis project here in Greeley, that it really is transitional housing. And then, like I put, I'm hoping that we can meet with domestic violence service providers at the end of the sheltered training.
to have more conversation.
Well, just if whatever you need to tell them, specifically for their participation.
Yeah, we do. I think we can go over that. Yeah, at the end of the shelter, they do like a code for their clients, since they don't put names in.
Yeah. Is that the only difference?
Yes, I think so.
And they do have to use Survey 123 though,
They do, yeah.
since they're not an HMIS. Yeah. So it'd be basically just that. Just to make sure they know.
Yeah. I was thinking about the youth and doing codes for them, but we can't, the only reason we can do codes for DV shelters is because they definitively know that that person was staying at their shelter, so there's no risk of duplication. Whereas like the youth providers, they can't use a code because we don't know. They're not shelter providers, so they can't verify where that person was staying based off of the services they're providing, essentially. So there's still risk of duplication.
Right. Thompson School District could have a student that's also staying at the Matthews house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Okay.
thanks for everything. But please just let me know if there's anything that I need to do. I'm out of town next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but I'll be checking emails and, keeping up with things. But I just won't be in the office.
Good.
Okay. Have a good rest of the day.
You too.
Bye.